Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2012 State of the Village Address by our Village President, Alex Torpey. But before I introduce our Village Administrator, Barry Lewis, to bring up the Village President, I want to take this time to acknowledge some of our guests. Everyone here is special, but especially our residents. But I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our elected officials and some officials and organizations that we partner with. I'd like to recognize Assemblyman Kean. If you could just let everybody know you're here. The best clerk of any county, anywhere in the United States of America, and I am prejudiced because I adore you, Chris Durkin. And partnerships are critically important for the quality of life in any community, but especially in these times of the financial difficulties all municipalities are experiencing. We are fortunate to have, being such a small municipal community, a village, to have a major university in our midst. With that said, we've worked very hard to develop a very positive win-win relationship with Seton Hall University. And representing Seton Hall University here tonight is Dennis Cabrini. Hopefully I pronounce your name correctly. And he is VP of Finance and Technology. Someone that I spend a lot of time collaborating with is Adam Lerner, and he's the Director of Communications from the Seton Hall University. Later, in a moment, I'm going to ask all directors of departments to stand, and in respect of your time, I'm not going to call out all names, but another responsibility of municipality besides managing finances so we limit tax increase is public safety. So with that stated, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize and ask you to stand Chief Markey, the incredible fire director we have. And I'd like to take this moment to share with you, besides him being incredible, the benefit to the finances of this town, and what allowed us to bring the fiscal budget increase at 1.79 is because of his experience, expertise, and relationships in Congress that allowed us to do that. We had budgeted maybe $750,000 for a critical piece of equipment. That's a fire truck. He was able to grant to bring in about $700,000, and therefore contributed hugely to our village president, the board of trustees, and our village president and our CFO to bring in our budget in at 7.79 increase, under the 2%. 1.79, thank you. Continuing on with public safety, I'd like to introduce Chief Shillel. Seldom do you have the combination of this adjective, the chief of police and a warm and fuzzy guy. That's Chief Shillel. And the chief can't do it alone, and representing and supporting him in the initiative of keeping us safe is Captain Kroll. And I'd like all the other employees of the village who do an incredible job, and all the department heads who are here, to please stand. And at this point, I'd like to bring up our village administrator, Barry Lewis.
Thank you, and to echo Deborah's comments, thank you all for joining us and welcome. One gentle reminder to everyone, please turn off your pagers and cell phones or put them on vibrate or silent so we can avoid any awkward interruptions. The village charter in Article 4.4 provides for the village president to annually report to the trustees on the condition of the village and the work of the prior year. It's my understanding in years past this has been done typically more in a less formal manner, sometimes in a written document. But this year Alex Torpy, our village president, has elected to make a formal presentation, I think, which can provide more detail than you could have in just a written document, and also gives an opportunity for the viewers at home, people to watch at a later date, and as well as all of you. So without further ado, our village president, Alex Torpy.
Thank you. And I'd also like to make sure, thank you, Trustee Davis Ford, and our administrator for introducing people. I also want to make sure to recognize our trustees that are here tonight. Could all of you please stand? Thank you, everybody, for coming out here. And I know this is pretty exciting to be here, and that all of you are here, our partners, and all these different levels of government. So thank you all for being here, and all of our residents and volunteers as well. We have a lot to go over tonight. Tried to fit this into, if anybody knows me, brevity, not necessarily my strong suit. So I'm going to try and do that tonight and get through some of the really exciting things that we've been working on. To start, I want to talk a little bit about our budget. This year we have a total budget, proposed budget of $32,189,352.22. On the average home, that's assessed at $460,000. That's $4,381, your municipal tax bill, per average assessed household in South Orange. And we're pretty excited about this budget. That we actually reduced over $1.1 million in appropriations from last year. And the increase is only $83 per person going forward. So that's the total increase that residents will have to front. Like Trustee Davis Ford said, 1.7% from last year to this year, and we're pretty happy about that. This is broken up. People have probably seen this chart before. These are numbers from last year because we don't have the county finalized yet this year. But as you can see, the municipal portion is about 28% of the overall budget. And that's the amount that we have control over here in Village Hall. We also have a unique form of government between our municipal governments and our schools, so that our elected officials here in South Orange also serve on the Board of School Estimate and do finally approve the school budget as well. These are the tax increases that have happened over the past about 10 years. And we've made some pretty good progress over the past couple years since before I was elected and since I have been of bringing that tax increase down. And when people talk about trying to control costs in municipal government, the thing that people talk about is stabilizing property taxes. There's not a lot of hope out there that we're going to necessarily be able to reduce your property tax bill from one year to the next, but certainly control the increases and keep them in line with cost of living increases so that this is not ballooning out of control. And I think that it's pretty clear to see that we're on the right path. And that's thanks to a lot of hard work that I'm going to go into in a little bit about how those things have happened. To start tonight, the biggest part of our budget, and most municipal government's budget, is public safety. And just to give an idea of how much activity takes place in our public safety departments, last year our police department went on 20,387 calls and received over 2,000 911 calls into the police department. The fire department went on 2,097 calls and gave mutual aid 57 times to surrounding communities while only receiving mutual aid 7 times. The South Orange Rescue Squad went on over 1,200 calls last year. 171 of those were mutual aid, and 146 of those were to our neighbor Maplewood. Department of Public Works went on 3,700 calls for service last year. That includes trees, wires, potholes, maintenance, and also emergency repairs during the storms. In a given year, Department of Public Works collects a couple thousand cubic yards of debris on average. Last year, during the storms alone, they collected 36,000 cubic yards. And if you want to try and visualize that a little bit, take 10 Olympic-sized swimming pools and fill it up with leaves, and that's how much debris they collected from our roadways. And it's important to make sure to appreciate the work they do in clearing the roadways, especially for our emergency personnel. Switching gears a little bit in public safety, I want to look at crime data that we get from the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, or UCR. And that's something, those are statistics that the FBI releases every year. When you look at the different crimes that they keep track of, the average in South Orange from 2010 to 2011 actually went down 10%, and violent crime as part of that went down as well. And there are a number of factors that play into crime being reduced year to year. Some of them are outside of our control, and some of them are even outside of our real understanding. But a lot of that is directly related to the hard work that our police department does. Security cameras downtown, automatic license plate reader, which is currently installed in one vehicle and expanding soon, social media innovations, and Neighborhood Watch are all major contributing factors to reducing crime in town. The first piece, an automatic license plate reader, is a piece of technology that right now sits on one of our police cars, and it scans every license plate that it drives by. If a car has been stolen and it's on a certain number of lists that our police department keeps, that will alert the driver of that car. And we're looking to expand that to a static position. For a position in town we can't actually disclose, but basically that will mean that when someone commits a crime and you get an ID of the vehicle or you get a partial license plate, which happens all the time, now we're going to be able to go back into that footage and look at the automatic license plate reader and see if we can ID the person or the full car or the license plate from that. You'd even be able to use an automatic license plate reader to detect a stolen car coming into town, because as soon as one drives through, you get an alert about it. And stolen cars are often used in commission of crimes. So that's one area of technology that we're expanding in public safety. The next is the security cameras downtown. Those have been a really great addition to not only giving our police department information that they can use to solve crimes, but also helping them manage personnel when we have large incidents downtown, if people remember those last year and the year before. The social media that the police department has done has been incredibly effective, and they're very diligent with that. And between being on social media, understanding when events are happening, being able to shut them down before they even happen, and then being able to monitor downtown and see what's happening from the police department headquarters, that allows them to control where people are going, where their officers are stationed or dispatched to, and allows them to call sooner for mutual aid if we do need it. Another major component of solving and reducing crime in South Orange is Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch has played a major role in assisting our police officers in solving crimes, because when something suspicious happens, or if a crime has just occurred and someone calls the police department right away, they can get that officer out on scene to try and find the person who may have committed that. It's a really great program, and I encourage everyone, if you're not part of your Neighborhood Watch group, to definitely join. Ask any police officer that you see driving or walking around town. They'll definitely tell you how important Neighborhood Watch is as part of assisting the job that they do. So by expanding our use of technology like license plate readers, innovations in social media, and very involved Neighborhood Watch, we're using all of those to assist the incredible experience we have at our police department to keep South Orange safe. There were a couple pieces of technology that I mentioned during public safety, and actually that picture right there is one of the license plate readers on our police car right now. But there are many other uses of technology in local government other than just public safety. So although our website, I think probably anyone who's visited knows, needs a little bit of a facelift, which I'll actually get into more in a little bit, you'd be hard-pressed to find another town that has the amount of information that it contains. And this has been collected and generated for years. It's hard to find another town that not only has that kind of information, but streams the meetings. This is being streamed on our website right now, and keeps a record of that. So if you want to find out about something that happened in South Orange, you can go to the website and you'll be able to do so. Right now, our email system in Village Hall is done through an in-house server here in the building. And the problem with that is the redundancy. We don't have a full redundant power supply in Village Hall the way you would at the police department, for example. And we've been exploring ways about improving that. For example, moving our email system to a cloud-based solution like Google. That not only allows us to keep our IT staff concentrated and their attention on the issues that we really need to take care of. For example, if an email server breaks, but it also saves costs. It improves data security and network security, has the same archiving features that we have now to comply with all the state laws, and also then gives us access to a number of collaboration tools like Google Calendar and Google Docs. And this would be a pretty innovative thing for a local government to use. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the different systems that we've tried, but that's a major component to improving how efficient we are. And as we approach the renovation of this building here, Village Hall, we're also talking about expanding our IT network. We have probably one of the most robust municipal IT networks in the state of New Jersey, but we're making that even better right now. As we renovate this building, we move out and we upgrade our IT infrastructure, we're going to be wiring all of our buildings together with fiber optic cables. That provides an incredible amount of redundancy. It provides us the ability to move information from building to building, and will assist us in a number of other tasks. Our clerk's office, for example, is another great example of a department here in Village Hall that is working on using technology and trying to make us a real e-government. South Orange is one of the only municipalities in the state of New Jersey that is certified to the degree we are to keep digital records of documents that some municipalities, many municipalities, are required to keep physical records of. Because we have such a good archiving system and indexing system, we're actually allowed to keep some of those documents online. And when we move out of Village Hall and we move back in, we're going to be upgrading that entire process. And having those kind of documents on hand with a quick search is much easier, you can ask our clerk, than going through file cabinets trying to find files. So that's a certification that we got last year that we're very proud of, and not that many places have done it. And we are one of the few that is putting that kind of attention into making sure we're truly an online government. And the last piece of that we've been talking about is also upgrading our meeting structure so that agendas and minutes and that entire process can happen digitally on a tablet instead of having to print out documents and spread them out to people. That will allow the board members, for example, and myself to keep easy notes. That will allow us to find information quicker, and we can create a dashboard that provides access to all the kinds of information that people would need without printing a single piece of paper. And by implementing these cloud solutions, digital document management solutions, and upgrading to a really cutting-edge fiber optic IT network, we're going to be able to redefine in years forward what e-government really is. I think South Orange has done a lot in that capacity already, and we're only becoming more of a leader in that field. Very much related to technology is communication. That's our Public Works Director up there. And communication is obviously incredibly important. It's the bedrock of engaging with people at the local level. Recently, we reactivated our official South Orange Twitter account, and even just in the couple weeks that it's been active, Clout, which is a tool that you use to measure online influence in social networks, has already doubled. People are starting to realize that the South Orange Twitter can be a resource. And we only hope to continue and expand that into creating a Facebook page and then outlining an entire social media strategy to use these forms of communication to get out the word to people about meetings that are happening, about our events in town, and to also get feedback from people. It's difficult because as a local government, we're in a little bit of a tough spot. Some of the state statutes that regulate how we can use information are unclear as to what is an open public record or what constitutes an open public meeting. And that's one of the challenges that we have. But we're going to push forward anyway. I think we're all pretty excited about the idea of being able to communicate even more with people and on platforms that thousands of people in South Orange are already on a daily basis. Even more advanced than that, taking that one step further, is making sure that people who are searching online about South Orange find the kind of information that we want them to find. Google reports that they get over 400 million search queries a day just on their search engine. And a lot of those people are looking for a local resource, for example. And we need to make sure that South Orange, when someone types in downtown South Orange or visit South Orange or South Orange NJ, that really good and up-to-date and current news and information about what's going on in town shows up. That's something that we have control over. And search engine optimization, or SEO, which kind of used to be a term that just people that were kind of internet nerds like myself used to use all the time, is now becoming more important with the proliferation of online searching. And not only online searching, but people searching for resources from their mobile phone based on location. So when people are looking for a new place to move, when people are looking for a place to grab a bite to eat or a concert, or a place maybe where they can even open up a new business, and they're searching for what to do online, we need to make sure our website is well positioned to do that. And one of the interesting things very easily, this is a little bit hard to see. This is South Orange downtown if you type it into Google. And that last result, which I'll zoom in a little bit, was a post that I put on our website a couple months ago just about why South Orange is such a great downtown. So when you type South Orange downtown into Google, this is one of the first results that comes up. And our website is not even ready and optimized for these kind of results to happen. So we need to make sure that we continue that. We need to make sure that we have the kind of information up there that people are looking for, and we're well positioned. Going back a little bit, these are our Google Analytics scores on our website. This is how many people visit the site. You can see unique visitors, visits, page views, all these different things. And this is the one for the South Orange website. And if you compare 2010, which is what this graph is comparing, to 2011, we had a 27% increase in visits to the website and an 18% increase in unique visitors to the website. There are two spikes that you can see, and each of those were during one of the storms last year. So what's interesting to look at from that is that our website really is a resource for people during emergencies. That when people don't know what to do, they are typing in southorange.org. The traffic easily doubled, and people were looking about what they could find out about what was going on in town. And that's important for us to keep in mind. The first one was Hurricane Irene, and the second one was that incredible nor'easter we had at the end of October. And so as we think about and we imagine how we can get that number even higher for next year and how we can make sure that people know that this is a good resource, you need to think about what we're going to do with the website. For example, making it more of a blog style format where all of our committees or departments, for example, could be, posting all the information that they're working on. So when you visit the southorange.org website, it's this incredible repository of all the things that are happening in our community. And not only create those blog style formats, but make that social so people can share it with their friends so you can expand even further how people are connecting with our website. And not only giving it a facelift, but increasing the functionality. Allowing people to submit service requests and complaints through the website, allowing people to possibly even do that from their mobile phone is something that we've been discussing and hopefully we'll be able to move forward on. As soon as we figure out our IT issues here in Village Hall, that's our top priority for our move. And the next we want to look at moving our email servers to the cloud. And then we're going to tackle a pretty big challenge of totally reevaluating what kind of website we want to have and how people give us information so that you can submit a service request to the town and get an email notification in your inbox when it's complete. This actually segues nicely communication into emergency management. Having taken over the Office of Emergency Management when our former village administrator left, who was also our OEM coordinator, I've gotten a really good opportunity to see how this works on a first-hand basis and being able to be directly involved in helping prepare our emergency response efforts. Last spring, Seton Hall University organized a full-scale training exercise that was based on an active shooter scenario on campus, the kind of thing that you hope never happens, but that you hope you're prepared for if it does happen. The police department, the fire department, the rescue squad, the county, and other agencies were there with Seton Hall as part of this training exercise. It took almost an entire day to do and was funded by a great federal grant and allowed us to practice what would happen if an incident like this really happened in South Orange. The best thing that public safety agencies can do is practice these skills. And they're the kinds of skills that are incredibly important, but rarely, if ever, used in any individual person's career. So it's very important that we're proactive about it. And when people talk about being prepared or being proactive, doing a full-scale exercise with 70, 80 people, that's what they're talking about, and that's what we were able to do last year. And the report that was generated after that, as they always do, noted a few deficiencies, one of which was communication. I don't think there's been an after-action report from a plan like this that hasn't noted communication as a deficiency anywhere in the country. But we've taken steps to start to mitigate those, and we're going to take more. We applied for a grant, a $40,000 grant, which will allow us to start to improve this a little bit, improve the way that we alert our residents during an emergency, text messages, emails, phone calls, and alerts on our website, and making sure that multiple staff people have access to that, similar to the Power Alert that Seton Hall has, which has been a very effective way for them to communicate to their community. And thinking long-term about how we upgrade our radio infrastructure and communications infrastructure to bring it into the digital age. That's something that we need to do, and that's something that we've been able to partner with Seton Hall in applying for that grant, and continue to partner with them to do more training exercises and more tabletops as we go forward. Another piece of emergency management that we've began working on even more is our community emergency response team. And by the time we have our next weather emergency, we should have a group of volunteers that are ready to go out and assist our professional rescuers if needed. And we can also use the volunteers as part of this program to help with traffic and crowds, for example, at some of our larger events. This is a great program that I've been really excited to work on, and I'm even more excited to be able to pass it off to 2 residents who are very, very excited about taking this on. And during these storms last year, one of those up there is a picture of a tree up in Newstead, and there, I don't remember exactly how many trees were down across town that night, but it was a sight to see. Anybody who's worked in public works or public safety, I think for a lot of people, that storm was a first about how widespread it was throughout our town and how many trees were down and how much of a response was needed. For someone in a policy-making position, it's important to understand what happens on the ground when those emergencies occur. It's important to go out and talk to our public works employees and our police officers and our firefighters and see, well, what is happening? Because when we're making our long-term budget planning and our long-term policy making on the board, we need to make sure that we understand exactly how these emergencies are affecting our municipal staff. I think we're probably one of the better prepared communities in the area. We've done a lot of great things over the years, but there's always more that we can do. And CERT is a great example of a program which anybody in this room is free to volunteer and join, to learn some basic emergency preparedness skills. We actually just finished a class a week or 2 ago. I would really encourage anybody who's interested in that to learn a little more. And I'd like to make a special note that in the emergency management field especially, Seton Hall has been an incredible partner. Tom Giordano specifically up at Seton Hall has helped us teach our CERT classes, has done the training exercises, and is someone who's really committed to making sure that if there is an emergency either at Seton Hall or in South Orange, that both communities have and know how to work together to mitigate whatever's happening. And so by expanding our community emergency response team, by holding these ongoing training exercises, and applying for more emergency preparedness grants, we're ensuring that our community and our responders are ready to act when time is of the essence. Transparency is an incredibly important piece of government. But being an open government and being for open government are 2 different things. But I'm pleased to be able to say that South Orange, for years, has been walking the walk. Aside from the years of budgets and minutes and agendas and resolutions, ordinances, and full meeting videos that are available on the website, we've taken some other steps recently that I think are worth noting. Since I've been elected, I've tried to ensure to continue providing video updates about what's going on in our board meetings and in the community. I've gotten pretty good feedback from those, gotten about 4,000 views on those videos, but I want to improve those even more. I want to do more videos with our board members, with our department heads, and with our staff, talking about the issues that people care about. So instead of necessarily doing a 15-minute update, it's a 4-minute video about a very specific issue that people are concerned about in town. And I think that's a great way to get a little bit of information out to people who may not want to read something otherwise. There are plenty of mediums where people can go to read updates, but providing that video and providing a way for people to connect with us in a little bit more of a human way, I think is valuable. In addition to that, the office hours on Tuesday afternoon, seen about 100 community members over the course of the past year come and visit. I've had some incredible conversations with people, and I would encourage anybody who does have a question to continue to stop by for those. I'm lucky and fortunate to be able to come into Village Hall during the day and do that, and I hope that residents will continue to take advantage of that. And as you can kind of see up here, and we've talked a little bit about over the last couple days in town, is that this is the first year that we've introduced our budget in an Excel spreadsheet, which is exciting. So instead of just being able to see a PDF, which South Orange has done for many years, have all that information online, people can download the spreadsheet onto their own computer, they can plug in their own numbers into the formulas, and they can actually see what the overall budget impact or tax levy impact will be. So if you want to play village administrator for a day, that's a lot easier than playing it for a whole year. You can go on the website and you can plug in your own numbers and see what kind of effect that would have. There aren't a lot of New Jersey municipalities that are doing this. We're pretty excited about it, and I think it's going to set a model for other towns to do the same and really make this information available to people. One of the most important things to note about transparency in general is the costs that we don't incur as a municipal government because we have so much information online. In many towns, to even get a simple resolution or an ordinance, you have to go to the clerk's office, file an Open Public Records Act or OPRA request, fill out documentation. The clerk has to go find the information, which if it's not digitally archived, can sometimes take a while to find. And there's a lengthy process required to get that information back. What we've tried to do, and what we're going to be doing even more of, is just putting that information on the website. You don't have to come into Village Hall to get it. You don't have to fill out an OPRA request. You can go to the website and download. There's a list here, which is a little hard to see, but you can download a dozen, 24 different types of documents just right from the website. And that saves an enormous amount of cost and an enormous amount of paper. So instead of, for example, if someone's researching a project and they want to look up all the ordinances or the village code that's related to it, they can go online and type those search terms right in and find it themselves. And this also is a great way to prevent us from some of the abuse that some municipal governments see across the state, where, for example, a private company, instead of having pay someone to do their own research, they basically make the municipal government do the research instead because they are required to fulfill that request under the OPRA law. So we've been proactive about that. And by making even more public documents accessible online, providing more ways for our community to interact with us, both in the digital world and the physical world, I think we in South Orange are literally leading the way to creating more participatory government in New Jersey. And I'm excited about the foundation that all of these things have laid so that we can do even more on top of that and build even further into the future. Sustainability and green energy is probably one of the things that South Orange is most known for, especially its residents. There's a laundry list of accomplishments that we could go through here, but I only have a short time. And you'll see Trustee Levison up there receiving an award from Sustainable Jersey. That's a grant that we got from Sustainable Jersey to be able to put electric vehicle chargers in a parking lot next to the parking lot next to the fire station downtown. So hopefully we can attract even more people who are environmentally minded to move to town or to visit town, knowing that we're one of the destinations that will have an electric vehicle charger. And that's a lot of work by our board members and a lot of work by our staff that has helped get to the point where we can get those grants. We have solar panel projects throughout our larger government between South Orange and the schools in Maplewood, and I think we're going to continue expanding that even further. The renovation of this building will be a great saver of energy. This is not the most energy efficient building in the world, and we certainly need it to be. So by renovating the building, we're going to actually save a lot on our utility costs, and we've replaced a lot of light bulbs with compact fluorescents and LEDs, but there's even more that we can do. And at the end of the day, this renovation of this building, although saving us money in the short term for some of our utility costs, I think the end goal is to move towards geothermal power, which would be a very, very innovative thing for a local government to do. And we're very well positioned to be able to do that. And again, a lot of these things, especially that I'm talking about tonight, are not just about the benefit that we're going to have tomorrow or the next day or next year, but laying the groundwork for building on that 4, 5, or 10 years down the line. And a lot of these decisions are being made with the forethought that are going to enable us to do that in the future. I think everybody's probably heard, or I hope everybody has at this point, and if not, we're switching to single stream recycling, which has been a project of a couple of our board members for many years, and something that I know many of our members of our community have really, really wanted to see. That will allow you to put all of your recycling into one commingled barrel instead of having to separate them out, and basically everything goes in one, and it gets sorted at a later date at a facility. And we hope that that will increase the amount that people recycle, thereby increasing the amount of recycled material that's processed. So it's a move that a lot of towns have made. We're excited to announce that. There's going to be more information in the Gaslight about when the pickup dates are, what exactly you can and can't put in there. So keep your eyes open for that. We're switching over July 1st, and we're very excited about this change. There's one last piece of our sustainable development that I think is important to note. This is one of the areas where a lot of residents have been involved in making some of these things happen. Through the Environmental Commission, through the Transportation Advisory Committee. I mean, these are projects that generally involve many people work. It's not one person who has an idea and necessarily goes out and finds it, but it's a group of people working together to try and get some of these things done. That website up on the top left is the website of our of our Environmental Commission, which is a great resource to learn about different green initiatives that are going on in town. And a good example of some of those things are like the bike path that you see pictured by Baird, the Rahway River beautification, which has been an incredible project between us, the county, the state, and the federal government. And these are all projects that I think support us being one of the premier green towns in New Jersey, alongside with our neighbor of Maplewood, who's made a number of amazing advances in this as well. But there's a lot that we can do in this regard, and I think we're well positioned to not only bring even more residents into the process to do this, but move forward even more green initiatives aside from what we've done, which has really been pretty incredible so far. I want to switch gears a little bit to governance and management, which is not always the most exciting topic to talk about, but it is extremely important. We have a committee right now that's looking at how best to reorganize some of the way our departments work in Village Hall. Making sure that our spans of controls work the right way, and there aren't necessarily 15 people reporting to one, but maybe 5 people reporting to one. And we're going to be able to do this and organize how work happens in Village Hall a little bit more efficiently. And we've been slowly updating some of our governance processes on the Board of Trustees as well. And this has been great. A lot of the inefficiency that I think that people have noted in the board meetings over the years, and I've only been with the board for a year, but we've had priority discussions where people have identified things like not having enough information about an issue at a meeting. So we started to create some processes that will allow the board members and everybody to have more information about what's happening. So for example, instead of emailing an agenda item to be added to our board agenda, now it's being done through an online form that asks for certain amounts of information. What does it have a budget impact? Has it been to a committee? To provide a history of it. And that not only will that allow us to have a better idea of what items are coming in, but that will also allow us to keep a good accountable record of all the items that have been added and what categories. And moving towards those sort of platforms is important. We've changed our meeting formats a little bit, and we're still experimenting with the best way to do this. We used to have a conference agenda where you can only have discussion items and a regular meeting where you can take action. We've combined those into one meeting, and the meetings have not been going later. In fact, I think for many of them, they've been going shorter, and actually the number of minutes that we've been spending in closed session has also been decreasing. And we're trying to make that process more efficient. So instead of having one meeting where we can only discuss items, but we can't take any action, now if we need to take action on an item, we can do so, and we have periods of the meeting that are devoted to discussion and devoted to taking action. We're also starting to use some collaboration software in administration between the village administrator and the clerk and myself to start. Tools that allow us not only to collaborate on projects and tasks that we're working on, where people can get assigned projects and get assigned due dates that send you email reminders, but also create a base of knowledge. Right now, email communication, which I'm sure everybody's frustrated with, at your own jobs, where you have to spend how much of your day writing emails or answering emails. What we want to try and do is take some of that information out from an individual email between you and one other person and put that in a wiki-like knowledge database so that if someone has a question or an inquiry about that, they can just go see that information. Starting at least with our staff people in Village Hall so that they can see what other staff people are working on, and perhaps one day expanding to where members of the public could see this information and don't even need to file an open request to get the kind of details about what their government is working on. There are some really exciting redevelopment projects happening downtown right now. That sign is a great example, I think, of what's been happening more and more, which is some of our property owners taking more of a responsibility for their property and really upgrading the facades. And that South Orange sign, which you can see right out on the corner across the street from Scotland, is a really great addition to the downtown. We have a couple really great projects that are also coming up. One of the most exciting ones is probably the old Bifus site, which people have been probably at this point tired of staring at for a while and seen that fence up there. And we're excited because the planning board did give final approval to Ed Ayusu, who's a property owner of 10 North Ridgewood and some other properties in town, to build 57 apartments, retail on the ground floor, and some parking for the retail and the residents in the back. And that's what you see right there. It's a little hard to see. But hopefully you'll be seeing it soon enough in real life. And that's going to be a really welcome addition to the downtown. And along with some train trestle improvements that our Main Street is working on, that's going to help connect the two sides of South Orange where the train tracks are, which is much needed to be done. Right now, if you walk underneath those trestles, it's kind of dark and dingy. We want to connect those and bring both those pieces of the downtown together. Another redevelopment project that we're looking at right now is on Valley and 3rd, which is the commuter lot where the rescue squad is. We put out an RFP to develop that property, and we received 2 proposals back for that. And what we're looking at is something along the lines of 160 to 180 apartments, retail on 3rd Street and on Valley possibly, and a 400 to 500 person parking garage that will provide parking not only for the residents of the building, but also commuters and shoppers downtown. This is a really incredible project, and we have a great opportunity here because we actually own this piece of property. So we do have a lot of say and a lot of control over what we want to see in that. And we've been meeting, and hopefully in our next board meeting, we'll pass a resolution appointing a conditional designation for a developer to continue moving forward with working on that plan. The benefit of some of these things, as I'm sure a lot of people know, bringing that kind of dense residential to the downtown is excellent. It's hundreds of more shoppers for the downtown and local merchants, and it's people who create energy and foot traffic in the downtown. And the more people that are down there, especially the more people that are down there without having driven to the downtown, the more people will come down there. And that's important to create a sense of community in the downtown. And the more residential units that we have down there, the more I think that will build on itself. Village Hall is fortunately going to stay Village Hall. This is our biggest capital project right now, is renovating this building. This is obviously a beautiful historic building, but it has fallen to disrepair over many years. And what we're looking at is renovating this building, keeping some of the historic nature, for example, like this room that we're in right now, it's going to remain almost exactly the way it is, but improving the space, improving the layout of the space so we can lay out our departments more efficiently. And when we're done with that, in about 1.5 years or 2 years, we're going to have a beautifully restored, historic, functional landmark right in our downtown. And I think we're all really excited about the promise of that. Main Street produced a great proposal basically talking about beautifying the train trestles. They're working with New Jersey Transit right now to get permission to be able to do this. This is one of the things that I know I've heard a lot of feedback about, that people aren't happy with the way that looks under the trestles. And their proposal is actually for both of them. This is just a picture of one, which is putting in lamps, maps, historic photos of the downtown, redoing the sidewalk, putting in bike racks, and signs that have historical information about what the town is, so that this is actually more of a community space, not just kind of a dark, dreary pass between one side of the tracks and the other. And Main Street has done a lot of really great work in working on improving the aesthetics of the downtown. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to a couple businesses. We had a number of businesses who won awards from NJ Monthly, the Best of New Jersey. We had a couple winners at Robin Ross, Kitchen a la Mode, and Pro Pets. And we had a few runners-up as well. JC's Closet, Eden Marketplace, Spark House, and Kate and Abby's all won runner-up prizes. So we definitely thank those businesses for the contributions they've made, and all of the businesses for everything that they do for our downtown. We obviously encourage people to always think about stopping downtown first when you want to go out and buy anything or get a bite to eat. The village also has a certain amount of responsibility in making sure that we're improving the condition of the downtown. And one of the steps that we've taken recently to do so is passing a special improvement district ordinance. This is a tool that creates an assessment in the downtown area and allows business owners to come together, create a board of business owners, property owners, and residents, and work together to improve their downtown. So now, along with tax dollars, there'll be financial contributions from the businesses in the downtown district, and they'll be on a board. They will determine their budgets, they will determine their vision, and they'll determine the kind of improvements that they can make to the downtown, which, for example, can include cleanliness, can include improving the streetscapes, parking improvements, store frontage updates and signage updates, as well as continue the amazing traditions of events that Main Street has done in this town. We're also looking at revising some of our land use ordinances, some of which are a little bit outdated, and making sure that they're suiting what our downtown needs are today. This could include, for example, a provision that still keeps things like drive-through fast food places out of the downtown, which I think everybody agrees would be a great thing to keep out of the downtown, and more so allow the high-end fast food cafes like a Panera, like a Cozy, a Qdoba, a Chipotle, and really trying to leverage those places to come out here as not only a destination place that will bring more people outside of South Orange to our businesses, but also a great way to get more Seton Hall students off campus and into the downtown and provide more study spaces for them to relax and meet up with people and for people to hold meetings. But we want to make shopping in downtown easy, but we also want to make opening a business even easier. Main Street has done a great job of working with the town and creating a document that outlines the process by which you open a business, but we can go a step further than that, and we can put that entire or the majority of that process online and allow someone who's interested in opening a business or who needs to file a permit to do so online. So when people are thinking about the kind of town or where they want to open a business, they can come to South Orange and they'll be able to sit at their computer at home, fill out forms online, and get email notifications, for example, at every step that's being completed by the village. That will also allow us more information about how quickly we're responding to these things and making sure that every year we're doing better and better to be responsive to people that are coming in, filling out permits, filing applications with us. So we want to make shopping in downtown easy. We want to make opening a business easy. And we believe that all these steps together, along with the new improvement district, are going to make South Orange an even more attractive destination in Essex County. And speaking of attractive destinations in Essex County, I think South Orange is known throughout the county, throughout the state, as being a cultural and arts destination. There aren't that many towns that over the summer have 3 or 4 concerts a week, free concerts around the town. The Downtown After Sundown series, for example, if people haven't been, it's a great concert series, 2 concerts, Spiota Park and Sloane Street, every Friday night and Saturday night over the summer. And the free concerts in the park last year on Wednesday nights at Flood's Hill were an incredible success. We saw thousands of residents, some really great food trucks come out for those events. And we hope to be able to continue those sort of things and just implant in people's mind that for an arts destination, for a music destination, for a cultural destination, for a downtown shopping destination, South Orange is the place to go. The Baird Center itself has seen over 5,300 people come through the recreation programs and over 5,000 people that have pool passes. We have an incredible number of people who take part in our recreation programs, and I don't think there's a resident in town who hasn't had one of their children or one of their children's friends or friend's child gone through one of our recreation programs. And it's a really incredible treat to be able to be part of that. And if you go down to the Baird Center any evening of the week, usually you'll see the baseball fields active, the lights on, people on the tennis courts, people on the soccer fields. And after my first pitch last week at the parade, I only wish I had taken more of those programs next time. There's another great place in town that hosts incredible programs, which is our public library. They saw over 10,000 people come through. This is not taking books out. This is going through programs, through 525 events that they hosted throughout the year last year. This ranged from anime clubs for kids to informative speakers, local meetings, and film screenings. They really do a lot there. And if you're looking for a place in town where you can go, meet up with people, and see an interesting speaker, don't forget SOPL.org. They really do have an amazing number of events there. And when you look at the numbers at the library, for example, of wireless use, you see that it's grown. And I go down there sometimes to do work, and I see the tables filled up with people on laptops. And one of the things that we've talked about, even in an IT sense, is trying to expand our free wireless network. One of the things that has been discussed at the Recreation Committee is possibly allowing that at the pool, and maybe continuing to expand that to the downtown. So Seton Hall residents can come down and use South Orange Wireless, and South Orange can go up to Seton Hall, and we can have a really wireless community that's really in the digital age. And because so many more people are using the library, this is another reason why the Kennett building, which I learned recently is the proper pronunciation of the building, is being explored as a renovation project. And there's some grant money available, and the library is exploring that process right now of being able to expand their services, not only in the main building, but in the adjoining building, which is an incredibly historic and beautiful building, much like this. However, it is in dire need of some upgrades. So there are a number of challenges that we've talked a little bit about tonight. And I think we've also talked about ways that we're taking those challenges head on, and ways that this board and the staff here have been taking these challenges head on for years, and that we're continuing last year, and we're going to continue to do the year going forward. There's one challenge, I guess, in particular that I find specifically interesting, which is not a challenge specific to South Orange government, but is a challenge to government everywhere. And the best word to use to describe this is bureaupathology. And it's a great word, although my spell check didn't know it. So it's okay if you haven't heard it. But the best way to summarize it is a professor, John Jay, where I go to grad school, says this is the study of the relationship between the fundamental structures and processes of an organization and the pathologies to which organizations are prone. Personally, as kind of a dedicated student of organizational theory, there can be no doubt as to how true what John Steinbeck said about well-intended plans. And it's important to think about that when thinking about the structure of an organization and looking 5 or 10 years in the future. And we're lucky because the degree to which specificity of study exists in this field of organizational theory and public administration is truly incredible. And I think there are 2 points that are interesting to think about tonight as we move forward as a village government, and as everybody moves forward, part of the organizations that you're a part of, and also as the watchdogs of us. The first is that we may entrap ourselves in a pathology, or maybe to put it a little bit lighter, systems or processes that are not necessarily in our best interest, nor in the best interest of the people that we're here to serve. Luckily, I don't think we see these things in South Orange the way we do in other governments, for example. But this can happen easily. This can happen just because one thing has been done the same way for too long and hasn't been subjected to consistent and formal reevaluation. Or maybe there's not proper access to up-to-date information about the decision that you're making. Or maybe politics or personal issues or a campaign enters the debate. Or maybe when decisions are being made off of false premises or information that someone believes to be correct but isn't. And public organizations in general are at a very high risk of becoming cannibalized by their own policies. Because unlike the private sector, there is not direct competition. But rather elections every some number of years where you hope that people get chosen to make the right decisions. A common example of a bureaupathology is trying to eke out the most efficiency from a workforce by making people work 100% of the time that they're employed. But take Google, for example, which is largely hailed as one of the most innovative, one of the most profitable, and one of the best places to work in the country, if not in the world. They have a rule called innovation time off, if people have heard of it. This is a policy that Google has that allows their employees to take 20% of their salaried time to work on whatever projects they want to, and do so on Google computers in the office with coworkers. Public agencies can't do that. We can't do that because imagine the headlines. We've got the news record sitting right there. If we were allowing employees to come in and use taxpayer-funded resources for their own projects. But if you look at an organization like Google, 50% of the products and services that they have, things like Gmail and Google News, came in that 20% time. And so at first glance, it's like, well, that's kind of impressive. This 20% of time equaled 50% of the things that you've done. But it's more than that, because the new idea, the innovation, the person who had the idea for Gmail, that idea is incredibly valuable. It's more valuable than checking off a box on its to-do list, as important as that may be. But that innovation is almost unquantifiable about how valuable that is. So these ideas are valuable, and they tend to happen when employees have time to think or to collaborate, to share, and to be creative. But this is not necessarily always the model in government. In government, employees are usually pushed to their maximum, performing tasks in a way that's not dissimilar from organizational theory from the 1900s where you kind of have a mechanized assembly line. And although at that time, when those organizational theories became adopted, it was amazing because workplaces really had no regulations. They had no procedures. They had no rules. They didn't have jobs that were really split up in the way that we have them now. So it did an incredible thing. But that may not be the best thing for us anymore. I think, again, in South Orange, we're lucky because we don't exhibit the pathologies that many public organizations do. And when you talk to people about how they feel about government in general these days, it's usually not a positive response. But when you talk to people about the recreation program they were part of, you talk to people about having a village employee help them solve an issue, or seeing an idea like Single Stream come to fruition, or see how fast a police officer responds when they're in help, then people learn and see that local government can actually be leading all of this, that we can be ahead of the curve. The focus tends to be on the national elections, the national politicians, the federal government, but we can do so much, and we do so much at this level, that people should have a better understanding of and appreciate how hard of a job our staff have and we have as elected officials to make these things happen, and how much can be done by someone coming to a meeting and volunteering their time. Because at the local level, that's how decisions get made. And so we always want to encourage people to be part of the process and to never hold back if they have an idea. But the first part is that we need to be mindful of that potential for pathology. We need to be careful that we don't fall into that ever. In fact, we need to do the opposite of that and look at how we can become the most innovative possible. And this is something that the board has been considering, for example, and moving in the right direction on, which is instituting performance-based pay for our employees and rewarding people who do a particularly good job. But again, public organizations, it's sometimes very difficult to do that in, especially with civil service regulations. But it's all part of understanding the context in which we manage and in which we make decisions. And I think over the next couple of years, we're going to see even more and more innovation from this local government. And we're going to see more and more towns looking to us as a model in how to do this. And the second concern that's important to keep in mind is that there are governments that do have these pathologies and that do exhibit problems. Although we may not be one of them, we have to interact with many organizations and governments. So it's important for us to keep in mind that as we're interacting like that we don't fall into those traps, and that we're still able to get done what we want to get done, regardless of what's happening anywhere else. Personally, this past year seems like it has gone by in a week, yet somehow last year's election seems like an eternity ago. I've had the chance to meet many of our hardworking staff, get to know our trustees, equally hardworking, our volunteers on our boards and committees, our business owners, community leaders, and the university community, and see the incredible passion that people put towards the issues they care about in this town. From improving the way we use technology to provide public safety and open our government, to reducing South Orange's environmental impact through green initiatives, to kickstarting several capital and redevelopment projects that will help propel our downtown forward, to finding innovative ways to organize our internal operations, South Orange government is providing an incredibly high level of service to this community, and doing so based on a budget that's less and less each year. And this will continue, because in South Orange, we're innovators of doing more with less. And growing up in South Orange, I've witnessed the progress we've made over the past decade. And firsthand, I got to see the progress that we made over the past year. And I know that as good as South Orange is today, the best is yet to come. Thank you.
you.